Hey everyone, your designers are here. I'm Anita at Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home.
We've got tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
So today is episode 215, The Do's and Don'ts of Mixing Wood Tones.
And the show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/215. I think this is a good one.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with this. And what's one of the biggest or the absolute biggest wood item that people can have is their floor. And so I think so, if you've got a floor and then you decide you want to use different color woods, how does that work? And then there's the wooden molding, and there's the do you paint or don't you paint, controversy.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course it's just wood tones between different pieces of furniture. There is a lot to this, ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the biggest difficulty comes when you have woods with a red tone. I think they're harder to work with than the other woods. So I think that requires a little more thinking on that one.
I think you're right. And I do have chestnut floors in my home, and they do have a red tone. And we picked them because chestnut is very native to this area. And had I been a little bit more decor savvy 24 years ago, I might not have picked it so red. But, basically what I do is ignore it. I do. I just decide what colors of woods I want. Gone are the day with, matchy wood tones. That looks very flat. That doesn't look interesting. And I think for my wood floor, there's no way we're going to do new wood flooring. I'm not going to have it sanded and restained. And I'd love to have my everything painted white, but that's not going to happen if I still want to stay married to Bobby, which I do. So I just go about ignoring it. And I'll tell you, the best thing I did is find sisal rugs because they're inexpensive for covering a large area. They look very soft and they're a wonderful neutral color. Now, I like some of my wood floor showing. I really do. But that does break it up and soften it up a whole lot.
And Yvonne, that's interesting you bring that up because I think that's a problem a lot of people have. And in our old house, in my haste one time, we replaced the floors and they had...
In your haste, you replaced floors?
Well, what I'm saying is we were kind of in a hurry because I think we'd had some damage. Our refrigerator had leaked some water. And so we were changing out a floor kind of quickly. And they said, well, we've got this one floor wood and it's really super discounted. It was pretty red. And I thought, well, it was so cheap. I said, oh, go ahead and do that. After it was in, I thought, oh, that's why it was so cheap. It was not a good look. No. Yeah, it was very hard to work with. And I was just kicking. I mean, that's just one of those lessons learned. That's why, when you get to be a little older, you're just making so much better design decisions because you learn these lessons the hard way.
Oh, I can't wait for that to happen.
Oh, when you're older, it'll happen.
You're the oldest among the three of us, so stop it.
I'm terrible. I'm so funny.
No.
Okay, so can you mix wood tones? Is it advisable? Should you stay away from it? What's the overall sort of umbrella wisdom to all of this? Yvonne, you want to field that question?
You absolutely should mix wood tones. Absolutely. And I think it's so
Shouldn't or should?
Should. Oh, yes, you should. I think it adds depth. It also adds a lot of interest where if you are using this, I'll give you a case in point. We're still in this whole master bedroom redo thing. Really, we're done. I just have to find a lot of accent pieces. And I just we bought this beautiful long dresser done in, looks like bleached wood. And I bought this lovely chair to go next to it. The woods are very similar. And I'm thinking, why don't I like this? And that was why. So I put a bright pillow on the on the chair, and it did make a difference. But if you have too much of the same wood or very similar wood, it makes everything, there's no interest, there's no depth, it looks flat.
Well, and the interesting thing you bring up about that is that when I first got married, the thinking was the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Everything should match. You buy it all together. You buy all your pieces for your entire bedroom or your entire kitchen, dining room or living room at one time. And it's all got the same fabric on it. It's all the same wood. And that's just not the way it works anymore. I mean, you want kind of that collected, curated feel to a room. And I think it does give it some depth and feeling of having been collected over time. Even if you picked it out all in one day, it has more of a curated look that way.
Anita, that's one of my favorite words, curated. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things I think about the most. Does it look like this is purposely collected over time and really well thought out? And that's what curated is. It's that total look, but doing it over time.
I think the thing with when you buy it where it's all exactly matches, it feels in a way
contrived to me.
Well, it feels too perfect. I think that's another thing that people go for, and I think the French are really good at doing, is having a very elegant room that doesn't look like a decorator did it. You can have a beautiful room that's not too perfect. And I think the imperfection is what makes a room feel a little more interesting.
I so agree with that. And here, let's go back to what Kelly was saying. I think that you should contrast your furniture with your flooring.
Yeah. So actually the difference don't make it the same. Way to go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, I just basically ignore, my floor is not real red, but it's definitely... it has that sort of tone to it. And I just basically ignore it and decorate it exactly how I want and lay down those sisal rugs or we have hardwood throughout our house. And what a difference that makes, so that when you do see the flooring, it is a very nice contrast. It's not over like, wow, that's too contrasted, or that's what it almost slaps you in the face sort of a look. It's something that looks really nice because maybe the wood's they're not touching each other. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think I'm so glad that you found a way to work with your floor. I mean, quite frankly, we just had to move. So.
Kevin, quite frankly, it's time to move.
That'll solve that problem.
I'm sorry, I can't live here
Burn
anymore.
It down.
The floors are too red.
Oh my gosh! I think at that point, Bob would have said, "Okay, go ahead and paint the floors white."
Oh yeah, right.
Maybe that's a threat I'll keep under my hat for a while.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Here, I'm going to throw out something else. When you're decorating a room, just pick a room. Let's say your dining room, and you have a rug on the floor. You might have wall to wall, or you might have some hardwood as well. Just take one big piece and make it wood, and make it if you're going to use the wood, make it your anchor piece. And then you're going to build all your woods around that piece.
Right. And don't have like 12 different woods. Have like 2 to 3.
3. I would say 3 for interest.
Right. And one is like Yvonne's saying, like in that anchor piece, that's going to be your predominant wood tone. And then balance it. You don't want to have all the lighter woods on one side and the darker woods on the other side. So you just mix them up around the room.
That's so important because your eye will really pick that up. You may not notice that there's something off about that room, and that's a very good point. That may just be what's off.
Yeah. And one suggestion is if you have a lot of wood pieces, like a lot of little side tables or coffee tables wood, and then your chairs have legs with wood, and it just seems to you, gosh, there's a lot of wood in here, a lot of wood competing for the dominant. Take 1, 2, maybe even 3 of the smaller pieces and spray them black. Because because every room can benefit from a little black, and that can sort of just like mellow it out a little bit and maybe whittle you down to the 2 or 3 woods that you're mixing. And 3, I agree, 3 is probably the best to go. We always say do things in odds, but just, to sort of then cover up some of the more oddball wood that you might have, try the black. I think you'll really like that. And I would just try it with a small side table, a little stool, something small first, and see if you like it.
Or just paint it. Just paint a few pieces of furniture. I mean, black is great, but use a pop of color. If you have a lot, I'm thinking of a room that has a lot of, the side tables, maybe a coffee table, end tables, and it has a couple like little smaller, more delicate type of tables. Spray paint that, chalk paint it, and even put a pop of color on it that works with your room. And I think that brings an awful lot of interest to your room.
Well, that's interesting. You talk about the painting, because I've bought a couple of things at the thrift store that were beautiful pieces, but the stain was so hideous. It was kind of an orangey color that was just very,
oh yeah.
I mean, that's why they got rid of it. I mean, it was like my floor. They're like, I can't work with this. And I just put a coat of paint on it and it looked beautiful. And, it's interesting that what we're talking about, because in my daughter Elise's room, I have two beautiful French chests. Now, they're not antique. I bought them maybe 15 years ago, but they're very, very dark oak. And I special ordered them when they came in. I thought, wow, these are really kind of dark, but it was, something I couldn't really return. So I've kept them all this time thinking they really look dark. And I've been photographing the room all this time and thinking they really look dark. And so what I finally am doing, actually today, I still have my paint clothes on. I'm painting them. I'm so excited.
Oh, you have paint clothes on. You're so cute.
What are you painting them?
Well, I wanted actually to do a blue, and I may still do a blue milk paint on top, but I'm doing kind of a soft, it's kind of a grayish white. It's kind of a very, very soft gray, white, creamy color. And I think it's the Amy Howard Luxe gray, but it's really kind of reads more of a cream.
So
that's going to look,
what a transformation.
Yeah, I think it's going to really lighten the room. So that is something, if you've got a wood tone that's just not working in your room, that is something you could do, is just paint that particular piece. Your offending piece, and it would probably work fine.
I love that. Your offending piece. Don't send it out. Don't send it to jail. Mm-hmm. Right. But instead paint it. And I do that an awful lot. I just find that if you get too much wood in a room, it just, again, it starts to compete. So find something. I love to paint lighter colors. I like to paint wooden pieces lighter colors. And I think it just makes it so much more restful. And I think you can get away with a lot more wood in your room if you use different wood tones mixed with painted wood, because painted wood is still very hot.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's ever going away now.
No, I think it's getting to be close to a classic.
Yeah. So we've been talking about more of sort of contrasting wood tones, which, we're definitely saying you not only can, but should do. But there's also another way to go, and it's looking for common undertones and really doing different shades of the same wood. Which can really work beautifully. So it's not, a dark with a light. It's, if you have a floor that has sort of red tones, then find a table that has also red undertones, but maybe in a lighter shade of wood. And then maybe you could do something darker in the accent pieces that also has that red undertone, but it's a little bit deeper, like almost working into sort of the burgundies, if you will, with the red. So that's a really pretty way to do it. And you can do that with any type of wood. It could be the ones in the gray tone, or the true dark browns, or these ones that are pretty predominant in the red undertones.
But let me just say this too. Mm-hmm. Let me just give a shout out to using real wood in your house. Mm-hmm. I think there was a time not too many years ago that everybody painted everything and loved all their furniture painted and predominantly white. And that's not a bad look. But again, if you do too much of it, it looks flat and it's not interesting. Wood tones bring such warmth to your home and to a room. So you definitely want to have wood pieces in there just for that. There is nothing, you can't fake the beauty of wood. Mm-hmm. And you really need that in your home.
I mean, and I have a lot of antique pieces, and it's interesting. I've painted a bunch of furniture over the years, and I looked around recently and thought, what happened to all those pieces I painted? Well, I painted some pieces that were not really to my taste, and I painted them to make them work. But then over time, I've bought nicer furniture and then given away and sold some pieces that I had painted. And so I kind of don't have as many painted pieces now. And it's interesting. A lot of these antique pieces, they're walnut or some beautiful woodwork. I have one that has some inlay in it. So, I mean, if you have walnut, I would not paint that.
I'm so into walnut. That is such a gorgeous color.
It
wood.
is a
I
beautiful
so
wood.
agree with you.
And I'll tell you, the antique pine, new pine, if it's kind of a chunky new pine, it depends on the piece, but this old pine, it's just a finer looking, it's hard for me to describe, but it's more, I guess it's denser because they used to carve it more delicately than they do the current pine. I would never paint that either. It's just a beautiful look.
The tough one is, I think, the cherry, like we're saying, with the red, that has obviously a lot of red going on. And then there's sort of that, the red oak. And then, of course, we have the 80s golden oak, which is floating around, a lot these days. But a lot of people have cherry bedroom sets and things like that. So, you might not want to paint a beautiful bedroom set, but then you can juxtapose it with some nightstands. You could even go into
painted,
rattan.
Yeah.
You could just really change it up. And so you're not having a matchy thing. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health: potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Okay, let's stay in the bedroom and let's address that cherry or mahogany bed, because I actually had one, and it's right now sitting in my garage, and it's like, oh, do I paint it? Don't I paint it? And I was so sold on painting it one time, but I saw a beautiful room on Pinterest that I couldn't get out of my head. It was a mahogany big rice carved bed, white walls, white all white bedding on it, and some just a few black accents. It looked gorgeous. And it was so fresh, but yet classic.
Yeah.
So, make sure you're looking on Pinterest and other places that to see things like that, so you know how to mix woods. So I would definitely get rid, if you've had the matchy, I'd get rid of the dresser, the matching nightstands and all of that, and go for something totally different. Again, I think the dresser was white. Maybe you could even paint it white, but I still want to get away from that 18th century, that look. Do you know what I'm saying? You could take off the bottom skirting and put bun feet on it, or do a few things to make it look different. But if you want to keep the bed, because that's a big piece, it actually can work. But then I would mix other woods and maybe some painted pieces around that.
Yeah, I think that's really the way to go. Freshen it up. And, I toyed with the same thing. A bed that was actually mine, but it was an antique when my mom got it. And then when they moved, she was so nice to gift it to us. And now that is my daughter Laura's bed. And it's really old. Actually, there's a hole in the bottom of it, which I'm sure was like, some sort of maybe woodworm or something like that, but it's a perfectly round hole. And I remember when my mom and I were in the antique store when she was buying it, the person who was selling it said, "Oh, that's a bullet hole." And she was telling us this whole story, like you're imagining sort of like something, somebody coming home at the wrong time sort of thing going on. And, she was a great marketer and salesperson. So, I still remember that story, and oh my gosh. But there's this cool, like literally I can put my little pinky finger through the hole.
Where is the hole?
At the baseboard of the bed. So the bed is so absolutely beautiful. And I will be doing the reveal of Laura's room fairly soon. I want a couple more things on the wall.
So go get a bullet and just kind of like just glue it on there.
Yeah, just stick it in there. Like, it got stuck. But anyway, the bed has a great story. But I was like, ooh, because I wanted to do the gray walls. And I was like, I just don't know if this it's oak, and it's sort of it has not a lot of red, but it's definitely got some red in it. And I thought, I'm going to have to paint this. But I have to say, with the beautiful carving and everything, I think it would have just gotten lost. Like, people look at my house and I get some comments like, "Oh, how could you paint all that gorgeous wood?" Well, let me just, set it straight. I painted a lot of wood, but most of it was not gorgeous. But this is gorgeous wood. And I don't think it would be enhanced by painting. So you have to really make that decision. And so don't grab the paintbrush right away. Think about it and think how you can add in either other wood tones, or you can shake it up with different kinds of side tables. Like she has these two little side tables that are like almost like black cherry, so dark with, and they were in the barn here when we got here, and little gray pieces of marble on the top. So you don't even like the dark cherry almost just kind of fades away and you just see the marble. So I don't have woods competing right there. And it really does look lovely with the gray walls, which I really didn't think I was going to like it with the gray walls.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I am, as you all know, like a real advocate of spray painting and painting things, but you really should think about it when it's a beautiful wood piece.
Yeah, and I think it is nice too to mix in the painted pieces with the stained pieces. So I like to have, maybe one painted thing in each room, or I'm just looking at a table I have in my house where it's a walnut table with painted chairs. So yeah, I think there's a way to
go ahead, Anita. I'm sorry.
No, there's a way to kind of mix and match, and I think that's a nice look, especially if the woods are competing. I think that's a great thing to do.
That is so the way to go. I really believe that. And here's another thing, and don't discount this. I think that your accessories also can create harmony with your different woods. If things are like up in my bedroom, the chair is too close. The wood finish on the chair is too close to the dresser. I'm not going to move it. I bought it for that. I thought it was going to be a little bit more bleached out, but it's not. But I'm using pillows and a throw, and actually I'm using a Peacock Alley throw over that chair, and it makes a very big difference. And it really sort of brings those two woods together, and doesn't make it look like, oh my gosh, it looks so flat. It makes it look, oh, look at how pretty this piece looks.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, because when you think about all the other elements in the room, when you're thinking about mixing wood tones, maybe you have some swatches, or, you're just looking at your wood pieces, or you're looking at that table leg sitting on the floor and you're not liking it necessarily. But when you actually pull the whole room together, I think you can all really make it work and pull in the different tonalities and sort of marry the tones together with the fabrics that you use and the accessories that you have. One thing that I would caution is when you have the accent color. So if you're doing 3, more than likely you're going to have one, like we said, the anchor piece. And so that's going to be your predominant wood tone. And then you could have like the supporting wood tone. So if you have 1 or 2 supporting wood tones, which we'll call accent wood tones, you want to repeat them at least twice in the room. You don't want it to look like it was an accident, that it just landed there. So you want it to seem purposeful, and that will help you with the flow.
Oh, that's a really good point. You just don't want something to be like, or one of our favorite words is an outlier.
Yeah.
Because that'll just look funny. It just will make everything else look off. And, look at all the other wood pieces that you have. Some people have molding that's stained and not painted. Some people have wooden lamps. Some people have, there's just so many different.
The mantle.
Exactly. Other wood tones that you have to consider. And if the things that you can change, if you have a lot of different wood tones, I would keep away from doing wooden lamps that aren't painted. I'd use, something with some color in it, a different texture, maybe not something as that has the same texture as wood, something that's maybe a shinier, a little smoother than or if you have like a rougher wood, but if you have like a very polished wood, then go with something a little rougher. As far as your lamps and your accessories. So just really keep that in mind as you're mixing wood. It's just not all about that. You have to take the whole room into consideration, because you want to bring in a lot of textures that are different than your wood.
That's so true. Yeah. Because a lot of people just really love the wood look, and then all of a sudden you look like you're living in some sort of cabin in the woods. And that's not, that could work if you are living in a cabin in the woods.
Yes,
but if you're not.
when we were looking at houses in North Carolina, there were a lot of houses that had, kind of that cabiny feel inside, where it was wood paneling all the way on all the walls and on the ceilings. And on the one hand, you'd think, well, that looks good. But then you'd kind of think, well, I don't know how that's going to go in the future. I might get sick of that. It's kind of a busy feeling. So you do have to be, that does just add an extra element that you have to consider and factor in. And of course, the orange wood came in, because I know we saw one house that was beautiful, but there was wood everywhere inside the house. And it was all orange.
That stain. It's that
tough
stain.
Why?
Yes.
Why was that the popular one?
I don't know.
It was during everyone's abdominal stage.
Did everyone have one of that?
I think everyone must have had it.
Everybody did.
If you've lived a few decades.
Yeah. And the molding that's on the walls, I've had clients who are like, I love the look of the white, but it's so pretty and it flows through my whole house. And boy, what a project that would be. I don't think you need to paint all your molding and woodwork unless you really, really want to. And don't feel bad if you don't. And don't feel like you're dating your house if you don't. There are so many other ways to update it. And if the wood, unlike the wood that was here in my house, is really beautiful, and you want to show it off, and the wood tones and the knots, if there are, in the grain and all of that, I think celebrate that and just take the tips that we're giving you today to incorporate other textures, other finishes, and take into account the fact that that would be the predominant color. So in a situation like that, if you have flooring and then moldings that are all one, wood tone, I might suggest that you go in the route of the common undertones that I talked about, rather than contrasting so much, because that might just be a riot of wood, So
a wood riot.
Right. So then you'd have to move. So Just get out of there. So I would just be a little bit more subtle in my addition of the accent woods. Just go a little lighter and then maybe a little darker. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh, so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com.
Mm-hmm. And I would just let me add to that. Lay those rugs down. Lay your big area rugs down because
break it up with
really help. Well, we just hope today that you've gotten a lot of tips about the do's and don'ts of mixing wood tones. And we just encourage you to look around your house and see how you're doing in that area and how you can change up your house a little bit. Remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey everybody, we want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. When you subscribe, DTT comes free right to you 3 days a week. So until next time.